Hello, Zinda here from the Golan, located at angelfire.com/games/link40. And I had a special request here from a guy called, now I'm sorry if I pronounce this wrong, but it's Jackie Scav26. It may be Jack A Scav26, I don't know. But anyway, you've asked me to do what I think is my top 5 favorite Zelda games before the release here of Skyward Sword. So that is what I'm going to do. Now, of course, there are going to be many reasons why people are going to disagree with my top 5, because my top 5 is probably significantly different than other people's top 5. And I'll give you the reasons why I enjoyed each and every game the way I did. Starting with, of course, number 5, Wind Waker. This particular one in the installment series I loved a lot. One, I think Nintendo took a really good risk with the game. It being cell shading is a great reward in this particular game. It worked very well. It didn't sell very well because of the cell shading. We went through that already. But what I really liked about it is the only game that I've ever played that gave me the absolute feeling of adventure. As soon as you gain your ship and as soon as you gain your sail and you take off, the music that hits in the background is unbelievably adventurous. The first time that music hit, I felt I was literally in an adventure game, and I really enjoyed it. Another reason why I like Wind Waker an awful lot is because I still believe to this day it is the only Zelda game that has the most useful items in your inventory. Sure, the camera isn't that great. You know, the tingle tuner, you don't need that stuff, but the majority of your other items that you get in the game are all useful. As opposed to other Zelda games like in Twilight Princess, where you get a few items that are only used here and there, like the spinner for an example. And I don't know, I just really like the idea of having a very useful inventory. I really like how the game was overall set out, where when you took damage, your hearts turned to little dots. Just the overall programming behind that I thought was very well done. So Wind Waker ranks 5 on my list. Number 4 on my list, Ocarina of Time. I know. Everybody's gonna be like, oh, I can't believe that's not number 1 or 2. But as I have said in a previous video, I like Majora's Mask more than Ocarina of Time, so obviously Majora's Mask is higher on my list than Ocarina of Time here. But Ocarina of Time ranks number 4 because it was truly revolutionary to the 3D series. And getting the game into the 3D environment style of game. I truly believe, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate mail for this, but I truly believe that Ocarina of Time was only popular because it was 3D and they did it right. Just like how Mario 64 is so popular, even though in my opinion I really think Mario Galaxy is better than Mario 64 in many ways. Ocarina of Time is the same love-hate relationship. I absolutely love the game. I love the story behind it, probably the strongest story in a game besides Wind Waker, because I thought Wind Waker's story was pretty good too. That was one thing I forgot to mention. But Ocarina of Time had, I mean, you saw the Triforce, you saw the Master Sword. I mean, it introduced Child Link, Adult Link. I mean, it revolutionized Zelda in terms of battle and in terms of what we are expecting from future Zelda games at that point. Majora's Mask ranks number 3. Majora's Mask ranks number 3 and beats Ocarina because, like I said in my previous videos, if you watched the Ocarina versus Majora's Mask video, I like it for multiple reasons. I think Majora's Mask did a fantastic job with characters. It's the first game I've ever played in which characters were given personalities. There wasn't a single character in the game that didn't feel like it belonged. And because of that, it made it feel more realistic to me. The world was a little bit more vibrant in that aspect. Dungeons were significantly harder in the game, which is what I love in a challenge. You fought more than 2 creatures at a time. And unless if you're fighting Keese in Ocarina of Time, you only fight against 2 guys at a time, mostly. When you're fighting against Lizafos, Darknuts, or yeah, even Darknuts, I guess you could say, Stalfos, you're only fighting 2 at a time. You never fight really more than 3 creatures. And that's another thing I liked about Wind Waker, once again, is that there were times where you fought against, like, 17 people, like in Hyrule Castle. But anyway, Majora's Mask I really liked a lot because of the fact that, it gave you that challenge. There was only 4 dungeons, so they were really hard, and I really enjoyed Majora's Mask an awful lot. The darkness of it just is a very overall dark feeling game. The music score was really just spot on. It really hit home when you got to specific areas in the game, which I really loved. But like I said, I've covered that in one of my previous videos before, so more on that on my Ocarina of Time versus Majora's Mask video. Number 2 is going to get me probably more hate mail than I probably ever received. Number 2 is Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. I love this game. Everybody hates this game because it's so different, and I can understand that. I'm not going to bash anybody for hating this game. But I'm the opposite when it comes to the Zelda series. I actually really don't like Zelda 1 too much, and everybody loves the first Zelda game. I don't. Zelda 2, I absolutely adore. I think this game was very, very well done. And I think the reason why it was well done is because at the time when it was released, there was only 2 Zelda games. There was Zelda 1 and there was Zelda 2. So there was no formula to what Zelda had to follow at the time. So they tried something different. Some people liked it, some people didn't. But I think the reason why I like it a lot is because I've actually spent an awful lot of time on that game. If you look at some of the first videos that I posted, like some of my very first videos, I have an entire playthrough of that game without dying. Granted, I did start at level 888, but that's easy to do. All you have to do is beat the game first. But I have the game down. I have the skill to beat it. And I really just enjoy going through it. I can go through that game in an hour and a half from beginning to end. When I'm just bored, I just randomly go through it. I've been through Zelda 2 more times than the amount of years it's been out. I've spent an awful lot of time with that game. But another reason why I really like this game a lot is because it wasn't just hit a button to kill an enemy. It wasn't just shoot a boomerang off. It was upward, downward thrust. It was the combination of spells that you had to use. It was also the first Zelda game to introduce spells. And magic meter at that matter. So, in my opinion, yes, it is kind of the black sheep of the family here. But I don't know. I absolutely love it. And I don't know about you guys, but that sword is the coolest looking sword I've ever seen. You know, I mean, that is epic. When I first saw this cover, I was like, oh my god, we are in for a treat. You know, so it was really cool. And not to mention, it was the first game to introduce Dark Link or Shadow Link, however you want to call him. But and Shadow Link is one of my favorite enemies in the series. In addition to Shadow Link, I also really love a lot of the creatures that are in the game. There's one called an Eagle Knight, only found in the Great Palace at the end of the game. They're the birds that jump up in the air and have pretty much the same moves that you do, except for you're stronger by a little bit. And then the final fight is against Shadow Link, and it's actually a very, very challenging final fight, and I love it a lot. And so I have a personal. It's number 2 on my list because it's a personal attachment that I have to it because I grew up with this, you know. So, like I said, a lot of people are gonna be really like, are you serious? That's your number 2, but yeah, it is. So, there you go. And my number 1 is A Link to the Past. Come on, seriously, you didn't know that already? I'm pretty sure anybody would have guessed it was Link to the Past. If it wasn't between 2 through 5, it had to have been number 1. You can't ignore A Link to the Past. A Link to the Past was probably, in my opinion, is what actually revolutionized the entire series as a whole. After the failure of Zelda 2, they had to bring out a game that would sell, and A Link to the Past did that. And granted, as much as I think Ocarina of Time revolutionized the series in terms of the 3D environment, I think A Link to the Past is the mold they should follow when it comes to the amount of dungeons, the amount of heart pieces. Now, they don't have to be just hiding. Each and every individual heart piece, for all I care, could be side quests like in Majora's Mask, where they give characters like personalities and stuff. But A Link to the Past is one of my personal favorites because I grew up with it as well. You know, I found everything on my own and no one's help. You know, and I really like the Dark World, Light World, the amount of dungeons and everything that comes with it. So, there you go. Those are my top 5. Give me your top 5. I would love to definitely hear what your top 5 are, and I'll talk to you guys later. E3's coming up next week. Very excited. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.